Short circuits are created when the hot and neutral wires touch, and the circuit is completed before the load. In this case, the current no longer flows through the entire circuit, and with no resistance, the current rises. Without any protection, this increased current will cause the wires to heat up, burn out, and will start an electrical fire.
Is this normally closed or is this normally open? That would be interesting to know. Let's put this to diode test. I would expect that might be normally closed and only powered when they want to disconnect you, because that would take the load off it. It is. It's normally bridging through, and it's only when they power that that it's going to disconnect you. That makes sense. This has 2 taps in it and a section welded in here. That's weird. Oh, is that for higher resistance? Is that a controlled resistance in there for monitoring it? Why would they do that as opposed to just measuring from one end of the copper to the other? I'm not really sure. They do appear to have a slug of metal in here that's kind of going to... Let's zoom down on that. See that? That's I'm guessing that is just sort of to create a higher resistance in a smaller area. Does that result in extra heat? I'm not really sure. Do you know, I'm also looking at this big metal oxide varistor. Is there any protection about it failing and then going all hot and flustered? It's connected via this track over to the phase in, directly to the phase in, and the other connection here looks as though it's connecting straight to the neutral. So does that mean that if this metal oxide varistor was to gradually fail over time, if that's what it is, it would actually potentially get quite hot in there without anything to cut it out? Not sure. That seems a bit odd. Any other anti-tamper devices? I'm kind of looking for an antenna in here. I don't know if there'll be one, unless that was in the upper section, because I'd expect something to detect RF jammer circuitry. And if it detects someone trying to interfere with the circuitry by applying an external radio signal, it could trigger something. I see a couple of pads going up here, but they're not connecting to anything. This looks like a double-sided board. It doesn't look any deeper than that. Oh, actually, no. Is it double-sided, or it's hard to see because it's kind of hidden if it's multi-layer or not. Not really an awful lot more to say about this. It's got the sensing circuitry in the vicinity of that. I'm guessing they'll just be using dedicated current sensors that are optimized for that task. Oh, that thing is marked H3. It is probably a Hall effect sensor then. The power supply, I'm guessing then, is that going to be a standard switch mode power supply? Why do they have this big shield over the top of it? I'm not seeing a microphone in here. That'll please the conspiracy theorists. Or maybe it won't please the conspiracy theorists. There's a resistor network, presumably used for the voltage sensing, to correlate to the current sensing. This is where it gets a bit shady. You see, this being a smart meter, they do have a lot more control over it. They can enable various functions. Traditionally, the old meter with the sort of dial that goes round and round inside it is very accurate. It measures the relationship between the current and the voltage. What it measures is real power. These things have the facility to be programmed remotely to measure different things, and one of them is just apparent power, where it just ignores the relationship between the voltage between this connection, and the current between this connection, and it will just basically measure raw current and multiply it by the voltage. And that's one of the biggest concerns I have about these things. I mentioned that before, but this is the reality of it in here. These can also be programmed remotely depending on the tariff you choose, and you know you're going to be talked into these tariffs are going to say, oh, it's going to save you some money. Yeah, it might save you some money for the first month, but then they're going to change it. They're going to have it written in small print that they can change the way your electricity is metered, and when they do that, they could do things. They could introduce peak demand. So when they're paying a lot more for the electricity, they penalise you directly by saying if you use too much power round about the time you're cooking tea, this unit will charge you twice as much during that period of time. So they're kind of programmable in that sense. Another thing that I've noticed here is that many of the meter readers are being what they call upskilled by generic finger in every pie companies, and they're being told you can learn how to actually install these meters and it will give you new skills. So they're basically being taught how to install the meter that's replacing their job. And once all the meters have been installed, what are they going to do? Are they going to lay them off? Don't know. All very odd. So that's it. Is there much?
Several Valley homeowners say there's a troubling cause of fires like this one, and it's not carelessness or negligence. They blame a device attached to thousands of homes, which is supposed to make tracking your energy usage easier for PG&E. 10 million homes in Central and Northern California have smart meters calculating electric bills.
In an Action News special assignment tonight, anchor Corin Hoggard investigated some fiery complaints about the device in Fresno County.
It can happen in a flash. Fiery videos posted to YouTube by several homeowners show fires they blame on smart meters. Jose Valdez doesn't have video of the fire at his Fireball home in September 2015, but he thinks this is basically what happened. The fire spread across his driveway and back towards the bedrooms in his home.
It was pretty scary. I mean, I have two little girls, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old at the time, so they were all scared.
Valdez and his family ran out, and by that time, firefighters had already started pouring water on the house. He noticed several PG&E employees got there almost as quickly, and he says one of them removed the smart meter while the firefighters worked. Fireball's fire chief saw it too. He says he's never seen that before, but he thinks he knows why they may have wanted the device.
Investigation after the fire was put out revealed that in all probability the fire was caused by a problem in the electrical panel, and that problem in the electrical panel, in my belief, was the smart meter that was installed in the panel by PG&E.
Dozens of people have blamed smart meters for fires over the last several years, and the issue has been a topic of discussion for the California Public Utilities Commission. But in 2014, a report from the CPUC acknowledging concern about smart meters as the possible cause for some fires said the commission staff determined none of the fires they examined were caused by smart meters. Jose Valdez isn't convinced. His insurance company is suing PG&E over the fire at his house, and they're not alone. A few months earlier, the same thing happened at this home in Kerman. Attorneys say electricity surged at the smart meter that was right here, and it caused a fire.
Active arcing going on, electrical activity happening with flames going up the side of the house.
Fresno firefighters put out the fire at the Sandoval home. Deputy Fire Marshal Don McAlpine says there's no clear evidence it started with a smart meter malfunction, but their investigation doesn't rule it out. A second lawsuit filed on behalf of the Sandoval's insurance company blames PG&E and the smart meter. In fact, at least 5 lawsuits in California make the very same claim. When I asked for PG&E's response to the lawsuits, the company's representatives asked me for a list of questions. I sent them 21. They answered none. But they did send me a statement saying smart meters have to meet safety requirements and standards spelled out in the National Electric Safety Code. And they added, quote, "Although we won't comment on active litigation, we can say that PG&E stands behind the safety of our smart meters," end quotes. But Valdez sees his differently now, as a possible threat attached to his home in what he considers to be one of the worst possible positions.
My kid's bedroom's right next to the garage, and then who knows what would have happened after that if it would have been in the night.
Both Fresno County lawsuits are set for trial in 2018. Corin Hoggard, ABC 30, Action News.
Several Valley homeowners say there's a
The bike rider is Cliff Workman, treasurer of the Hells Angels, the wildest bunch of outlaws to come out of the West since Billy the Kid and the Dog. He's here to
All right, Hannah, thank you. And a crash south of Wichita's airport kills one man.
The latest data out of Teller County shows their suicide rate grew by 56% in just 1 year. But a recent grant awarded to the Teller County Mental Health Alliance aims to bring those numbers down. KRDO News Channel 13's Cindy Santafanti joins us live now from Woodland Park with how they plan to do that. Cindy?
Sydney, the $330,000 grant that was given to Teller County by the Colorado Springs Health Foundation will be able to address multiple things when it comes to mental health issues here in the community. Now, all of this according to a study that was reported from 2018 Teller County Community Health Assessment. Now, these were the major concerns in the county about the growing suicide rate: behavioral and mental health, substance use and abuse, access to care, and injuries and violence. Health officials here in Teller County say they plan to address these issues in the community using this new grant money.
Bringing partnerships together, making sure that we are using best practices, really spreading awareness.
Now, Colorado has the 9th highest suicide rate in the entire country, coming in at roughly 20 suicides per 100,000 residents, and that's according to the Colorado Department of Public Health. Now, prior to the pandemic, suicide was the 5th leading cause of preventable death here in Teller County. For now, we're live from Woodland Park. I'm Cindy Santafanti for KRDO News Channel 13.
Only on New
When you cover 5,000 square miles and have over 157,000 distribution poles, wildfire mitigation is extremely important.
Here in Colorado, and specifically in Corps territory,
And so...
What are these people's names?
I just said that you are detained.
Okay,
You are
sir.
not.
Madam, I've informed you you are trespassing.
Okay, well, let's then go ahead and... So you need to give me your name.
Sign. Questions? Okay, just... Do not walk over my fence, sir. Here. Film this.
We have children.
What, you're hurting me, sir. Film this. Don't answer any questions. Okay, just film. Sorry, who is this? Did I speak with you a couple of minutes ago?
You did, yeah. You're not on the account. I need to speak with Alicia, please. If she would
1,000 square miles and have over 157,000 distribution poles, wildfire mitigation is extremely important.
Here in Colorado, and specifically in Coors Territory,
Have I spoken with you before,
it's one
sir?
of the highest risk areas in the country in terms of...
Sir, this is a private phone number, and I am a lawful payer to this phone number. I had requested that you continue your correspondence via physical mail. I am now formally requesting that you not harass this phone number.
Is Alicia available?
Did you hear me say that I am now formally requesting that you not harass me at this phone number?
Yeah, is this Alicia's phone number? I'm trying to speak with her in regards
Alicia,
Lakeview Drive.
They'll have to work on the meter box. That's their property.
On our property.
That is their property. The meter...
Oh, I get. My neighbors have this meter that you guys. It's okay, baby. We don't want your service if you're gonna have to switch that out, sir.
Then we will we'll just remove that. And all right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
God. Oh God, this is not good. Okay, fuck. Oh fuck! Fuck! Oh my God, stop! Oh my God, oh my God. This guy's getting attacked. Oh my God. Stop! Stop it! Stop! Stop! Leave him alone! Leave him alone! Stop it! Stop it! Leave it alone! Leave him alone! Stop it! Stop! Stop! Stop it! Go away!
Carry on.
Get out of here! You evil people! Stop it!
What are you gonna do?
Stop it! We got you on film!
Who wants to fucking...
You can see this man, a counter-protester, taking off his hat as he walks toward a small group of protesters who are yelling at him. Then, seconds later, the brawl began. Others rush in as the fight grows larger in size. One man thrown to the ground as he gets beat. The fight lasting less than a minute before the Teller County Sheriff's Office comes in to break it up. Along with them, more counter-protesters. Both groups continuing to argue, cursing each other out, and making lewd gestures while deputies stood between them, until the protesters eventually were allowed to drive off. Bye-bye! The reason for the gathering was to protest the Teller County Sheriff's Office holding undocumented immigrants for ICE. The ACLU has taken the issue to the court in the past. The last lawsuit filed against the Sheriff's Office dismissed by a judge. But they were also there for this man specifically, Pablo, an ICE detainee who was recently transferred to Teller County. His wife, Keisha Davalos Grijalva, asking for her husband to be returned to Aurora.
It's very difficult for us. It's very, very difficult for my daughter as well. I want to ask the sheriff to return the detainees that were transferred.
Everyone hoping this protest wouldn't end like so many we've seen this year.
This is a peaceful protest. There was never an intention for this to not be that.
Protesters gathered in this parking lot with signs taped to their cars and drove from Woodland Park to Divide. But the road leading to the Teller County Detention Center was blocked, so they went across the street where several counter-protesters stood. These men standing near their trucks while making it clear that the protesters were not welcome. Protesters giving it right back until things reached the boiling point. Reporting in Divide, Chase Golightly, KRDO News Channel 13.
Only on News 5 tonight, questions about Teller County Sheriff Jason Mikesell and a private security business he runs on the side. A business that employed off-duty deputies from El Paso County and the Colorado Springs Police Department.
Now, it raises some important ethical questions and has resulted actually in internal affairs investigations within both those agencies. Reporter Pam Zubak with the Springs Independent sharing what she found with News 5 as I followed up today with questions of my own.
He told me so that
The more than 2-month-long investigation by Pam Zubak in an article entitled Side Hustle details the dealings of Sheriff Mikesell's business, I0 LLC. And according to the El Paso County Sheriff's Office Internal Affairs investigation, focuses on security, surveillance, government contracting, and training, and employed several members of the Colorado Springs PD and El Paso County Sheriff's Interagency Metro Vice and Narcotics Team. And that Sheriff Mikesell told Internal Affairs and Zubak some contracts worth hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Our goal is to bring attention to this arrangement to let the voters and the taxpayers know that their sheriff has an elaborate side business that involves a network of all of these other law officers whose behavior working for him has been called into question by the very departments they work for.
I reached out to the Sheriff's Office today for an interview. They chose not to comment tonight, but will have a response for us tomorrow after they review Zubak's article. In it, Sheriff Mikesell says, quote, "The issue, it's a private company. Why should they, taxpayers, have issues with a private company? It doesn't interfere with anything I do here at the Sheriff's Office." He went on to tell Zubak, quote, "No laws were broken. If they failed to get permission, that's their fault," referring to the officers or deputies under investigation. And when I spoke with Commander Jeff Kramer with the El Paso County Sheriff's Department, who oversees the Internal Affairs Division, about their investigation, which has concluded, He said that 3 deputies were punished.
We did find for at least a couple of the deputies that were involved in the investigation, there were some sustained policy violations.
Most notably, they did not submit the proper paperwork seeking permission for outside employment. That's mandatory. 2 deputies received reprimands, the other reassigned, but all are still employed with the department. As for the Colorado Springs Police Department, I also requested an interview. No comment since their internal investigation continues. But Zubak interviewed experts in ethics who believe this arrangement raises some red flags. Of particular note, some employees of the private company who work for Sheriff Mikesell at the department.
He has a commander working for him at the sheriff's office who also is on the payroll for his private business. And that would create a conflict between what's the priority for that employee.
The Teller County attorney is aware of this arrangement, but to date has never rendered an opinion and has not received a complaint. If he had, it would be sent to the State Ethics Committee for review. As soon as the El Paso County Sheriff's Office began its investigation last fall, all of their personnel involved with the company were to cease employment with Mikesell, and as a result of it, some minor changes have been implemented on that outside employment policy, most notably limiting it to 2 years, with sheriff's employees having to resubmit a request.
The policy speaks to certain types of outside employment that will not be allowed, those that have an obvious conflict of interest or could have a conflict of interest. Private security or private investigative type of work is one of those that on face value is probably not going to be allowed.
When I asked Kramer about Sheriff Mikesell running a side business, employing local law enforcement.
Rob, that's not a question that I feel comfortable answering for you. I apologize.
But El Paso County Sheriff Bill Elder made it clear to Zubak where he stands when it comes to these kinds of ethical dilemmas.
He used to have a real estate license. He relinquished that long before he took office, and he would never run a private business while he was sheriff. We asked why not, and he said, because I'm never not the sheriff.
And I should add that Sheriff Mikesell told investigators he did not know if any sheriffs or police employees were working for him while on duty at their respective jobs. Commander Kramer told me that it is a common practice for deputies to have outside employment, which also includes teaching, instruction, training, and other things. By the way, you can read Pam Zubak's full article in the Colorado Springs Independent tomorrow morning, and I thank her for her help with this story.
Well, you mentioned sex trafficking as well. This is another thing that's just, you know, any decent person, it just makes you sick to your stomach to think about what's happening to, it's not just girls, by the way, it's boys too who are being victimized by this. Is this tied into the immigration issue as well?
It is, because now someone can come across the borders undocumented. So we don't know who's here and how they got here. So what cartels are doing is shipping them across the border because they know they're not going to get
Oh, he's not.
Walk.
New tonight, a former Ohio sheriff is sharing his story of failure with hopes of helping others struggling with addiction.
His life turned upside down by a web of deception and denial. He claims he just couldn't escape.
I knew deep down that I was an addict, but because of who I was, I didn't want to reveal that. So I kept, holding everything back in, denial, and shame.
An open and honest confession from a man who once lived a life full of deception. Sworn to uphold the law, Kyle Overmeyer knowingly broke it, falling from sheriff to inmate.
And I was diagnosed with arthritis and with a multitude of problems. I used the opiates that I was prescribed for the physical pain.
Denver 7 News starts.
And found out even more. She joins us from the Springs tonight. And Molly, just hours ago, his undersheriff turned herself in.
Yeah, and tonight, Paula Presley has already bonded out. You may remember she's one of 3 women accused of having an affair with the former sheriff. But tonight, these indictment papers giving us damning new details about what else was allegedly going on here. It's all in the 11-page indictment. Allegations of extortion, abuse of power, and a sheriff's attempt to cover for his deputy at any cost.
Charges are Class 4 felonies. Class 4 felonies carry anywhere from 2 to 6 years in prison.
The documents allege former El Paso County Sheriff Terry Makita and former Undersheriff Paula Presley pressured a deputy's girlfriend to change her story in a 2013 domestic violence case. After a beating left her with a swollen face and bruises on her arm, the deputy, arrested for assault, later let off the hook. And it gets worse. The victim, a correctional health care employee which contracts with the sheriff's department, was unlawfully arrested and thrown in jail. All after pressure from the sheriff, undersheriff, and former commander John San Augustine. Is Terry Makita home? The former sheriff isn't talking. Paula Presley has turned herself in, all as a department embattled for years tries to forge on.
Each member of the sheriff's office continued to do their job. Regardless of their assignment, they did it with professionalism and dedication.
Now, also in this indictment tonight, outrageous allegations of extortion from when Presley tried to make a run for sheriff. You can read that right now in full on the Denver 7 app. Now, the sheriff and the commander have until Friday at noon to turn themselves in. We're live in El Paso County tonight. Molly Hendrickson, Denver 7.
For my mental pain.
At 34 years old, Overmeyer was the youngest sheriff in Ohio when he was appointed in Sandusky County back in 2008. He says the stress of the job, combined with the physical pain he tried to manage, snowballed into a full opioid addiction.
I ended up deceiving doctors, stealing pills from the take-back box at the sheriff's office to feed my addiction, and ended up getting me 4 years in prison.
Suddenly, Overmeyer was on the other side of the law, forced to deal with his addiction head on. Some would say, in your position as being a sheriff, you are a hypocrite.
And I can see some people saying that, but unfortunately, when a man or a woman wears a badge and a uniform, they are held to a higher standard, which then it holds you back from showing your weaknesses. Who would ever have thought that the sheriff of the county would be an addict?
And Overmeyer isn't alone. Studies show a correlation between high-stress careers like law enforcement and substance abuse.
And while some utilities are still saying that all of the in-home private data they collect on
Mr. Friedman has a concern about the safety of smart meters, he does not have to have them.
Is it PUC's decision that by allowing an opt-out, it can duck an obligation to consider the health or the trespass issues?
Your Honor, all of these issues were before the Commission in the earlier proceedings. The Commission had a proceeding on this and
but it didn't decide any of those issues.
No, Your Honor. The Commission did not.
The Commission, in fact, declined to do the analysis to make the decisions about health and safety.
The remedy for all of the concerns in those proceedings was to offer an opt-out.
How about the members of the public that are not opting out? Isn't it the Commission's responsibility to look out for their health and safety? And to make a judgment as to whether they're being unreasonably exposed to RF?
Your Honor, nothing in the world can be made absolutely safe.
So are you admitting that they're not safe? Is it the PUC's position that these are safe enough?
Your Honor, the public is free to have whatever concerns it would have.
What the Commission is doing, as you presented, is saying it has declined to do the health and safety analysis. You're on your own.
No, the Commission instructed the utility to, in its communication plan, to provide information to all of its customers about smart meters and links to the science that is out there.
But Ms. McColeman, there's still all those people that have them. And for those people, you're saying that the state of affairs can be that the Commission can take no position on their safety?
And leave it up to the utility?
About a year ago, a good friend of mine got ill, and there was no apparent reason why. And then she realized that her electric utility had installed a new digital smart meter, a wireless electric meter, at the same time as she got ill. As I looked into it, thousands of people have had the same experiences. So I wanted to figure out, is this really happening? Are people truly getting sick because of radiation coming from electric meters? I grabbed a camera and interviewed as many people as I could from all around the world to find out what's been their experience and what do they know. I had no idea the level of startling information that we would discover along the way.
I was hearing this banging on the basement door, which is the door that leads into the hydrometers that are in here. And so I leave my bed and I come down here and I sit right here on the step and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna film this.
Sorry. I'm just putting in your meters. Your power's gonna be out for about 20, well, when I find the meters. They're down here, right?
I'll show you the door. I'd heard her banging, but I didn't know that she actually kicked the door in until she left. Because when she left, I came here and I found this on the ground. I was like, wow, she actually kicked the door in. We've since repaired the door. We've put these do not install a smart meter sign on our door.
And apparently this wasn't the only case of a utility breaking and entering.
The morning the guy came in to change the meters, this had been shattered. He had taken a deadbolt cutter and cut up our chain and basically pried their door open and walked right in here. And when he left, the chain was laying on the ground and it was broken. The lock was broken also. Vandalized the property and forced his way onto my property without buzzing any of the building buzzers.
So with billions of dollars being spent all around the world with zero public input, and with all of these concerns coming to the fore, I realized that there had to be some serious commitment behind the scenes to push this grid through.
Peace on our feet, to walk in your light, peace and freedom. Tracy's story showcases the dark side of frequencies and the malicious and horrific intent by authorities to remotely torture and abuse targeted individuals with invisible weapons.
Guys,
Tracy recently debuted part of her story on the Basement Hangout podcast, which was a huge step for her. And on this week's episode, Tracy is choosing to tell her full story from start to finish with never before heard information. Tracy aims to be a voice for all.
Check off the very end. You can make it happen.
Hello, I'm Jeremiah Laney, and today I'll be talking about the control system that will be put in place in order to control EV chargers in a variety of different circumstances. The control system is made up of 3 different parts. One being the relay. What this does is it acts like an electronic light switch. It allows us to quickly turn on and off power remotely to the EV charger or other different devices without having to actually be there. If we look quickly at how it is set up, the wires in the top with the squiggly lines are the lines in, and the wires at the bottom with the squiggly lines are the lines out. Those would be our 220 power going to the EV charger or to the 220 outlet that we would be controlling. Off this, we're pulling 2 legs of power into our power supply. So we have 220 coming in. Our onion cannot use 220. What our onion needs is 5 volts. So what this power supply does is it works anywhere from 110 to 240, and it steps down the voltage so that we could use it on our onion. So in this case, it's stepping it down to 5 volts. Then we're pulling our power off of that to the onion. The onion has a breakout board on it just for ease of use for us, which controls an on and off switch so you can manually toggle on and off, and has an LED on board so that you could see if it's getting power enough, which is a quick visual indicator of what the system's doing. On top of that, the onion acts as the main control board for the entire system, or the brain. So it connects to the wireless, it allows the app to connect to the system, and it controls the relay. So without this, the whole system would fail to function. So what the onion actually does is on the breakout board, we have GPIO 11 going over to the relay, which you can see right here, and ground going over to the relay as well. And what that does is that actually allows the onion remotely to turn on and off the relay so that we don't have to be at the system. This is the brain of the system, and this is how the control for the system works.
All right, so we've got one of the most basic charge station setups, but it's also quite powerful. And so I'm going to break down what may be somewhat complicated to some. Some might already be seeing how simple it is just from looking at this. But basically, it's got a power in, guys, and it's got a power out. The power out is the charging station in this case. But basically, that is all there is to it as far as the power in and power out goes. You'll see there's in this case, there are 4 wires coming in. One is green, one is white. We're actually not even using the white, so I'm capping it off. So just ignore that one. The greens, as is with the light switch, all the greens in the box go together. Green going in, green coming out all together, and then the box itself being grounded. So that demystifies quite a few already. Again, we've got the red coming in, we've got the black coming in. Each of those is 1 leg. So this is, in this case, it's 120 volts per leg. It'll be different depending on what country you're in, but the principles remain the same. And then we've got the AC to DC converter for our Onion Omega computer right here, our node. And so this is basically just jumpered over. We got the red going to red and black going to black, 120 per leg going in, and your 5 volt DC coming out and going around and into the Onion Omega computer or node. And so this AC to DC converter is no different actually than a cell phone charger, and you can actually use a cell phone charger on a separate circuit, which would require 1 more leg. Pretty simple. Basically, you just have an outlet that you would plug into, but we've chosen to install it all in one into this box, but mostly to make a nice clean look after all said and done. So just if I were to close this box, it would look really pretty. So anyway, you got your hot coming in. It's being controlled by the relay, which the relay itself is being controlled by this computer. Red goes to red over here, and so this is normally cold unless the computer turns it on, and then it becomes hot. And so the red going to red turns on, black going to black turns on. That's why we've got this special relay we've got for sale on the ChargeCoin website, which allows for both of these legs to turn on at the same time and turn on slowly so it doesn't damage any of the equipment downstream of it. So I pretty much demystified it. Again, you've got your your ground, which all the greens basically just go together. This one being an extra wire. You got your red in, your black in, and you got your jumpers going through, powering that 5-volt DC, which itself is the onion omega, which itself powers that relay, and the relay turns on and off. Quite simple, you guys.
Hello, I'm Jeremiah Landy, and today I'm going to be talking about taking the components we have and adding them into a pre-built box, or as some people know them as RV boxes, which can be found at Home Depot.
How did the Disney Corporation acquire all the land for Walt Disney World? In this episode, we tell that story.
Oh man, it's out. You're so lucky.
Dude, that's the universe trying to protect both of us.
So
all TIs and to showcase the power and role our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ played in her journey and in her healing. I'm thrilled Tracy is choosing this platform to tell all, and I ask all of you to give Tracy the utmost respect by giving her your full attention. You may even want to get a notebook because you're going to learn a lot today. I know I have already, and you are going to as well. And as you'll see, you don't have to be born into a bloodline family to be chosen for this kind of torture and abuse. If it happened to Tracy, it can happen to any of us. It's up to us to make the unconscious conscious and to empower ourselves with knowledge of the unseen, unheard, and unspoken. The most inspiring part of Tracy's story is the part about how her abusers thought they were destroying her, when really they were actually planting a seed that grew into its resiliency to weather any storm. Little did they know how powerful this little seed would become. So you guys, without further ado, please help me in welcoming today voice for the voiceless, TI, selfless advocate, educator, overcomer, and authority on all things frequency, the one, the only, Tracy. Tracy, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you, Emma. Wow. We've only been, I'm humbled. Thank you. Thank you very much.
A battle brewing for more than 6 months.
Residents wonder, why no fine, why no punishment?
That's a damn good question.
Accusations over a local government giving special treatment to a prominent business leader.
I don't think he views us as neighbors. I think he views us as guests to his county.
A controversy unfolding in Park County, a scenic mountain community about an hour southwest of Denver.
Help me understand how you've angered so many of your neighbors, just quickly.
I will have a comment at a later time, not today.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Shannon Ogden.
And I'm Jessica Porter. Tonight, Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kowaleski is unraveling a complicated puzzle of finger pointing centered around a structure built without a permit.
It's infuriating, Tony. It's absolutely infuriating.
Welcome to picturesque Park County, home to spectacular views, to wonderfully tranquil, meandering streams, and home to a percolating controversy between dozens of residents and one prominent and powerful businessman.
They don't care, and they're not intimidated by public outcry because the fix is in.
He's pointing fingers and amplifying his accusations against elected leaders and high-ranking county employees.
I think the evidence is there that something's going on. It doesn't add up, Tony. There's something there.
Joe Widener lives in the county and is an elected member of a nearby water board. He questions why that longtime Park County businessman is receiving what he describes as preferential treatment.
He doesn't think the rules apply to him, and obviously they don't. And that's the story. Why doesn't the rules apply to him?
I began this process for this PUD.
The person he's talking about is Adam Shirley. He owns the property, and he's responsible for this large and largely controversial hilltop structure off of 285 just a mile into Park County. Shirley's critics and neighbors say if approved by the county, his plans will negatively impact their property values.
You know, Adam tells me what a great neighbor he is, and we all know that's not true.
During the past 6 months, Denver 7 Investigates has captured a parade of Park County residents stepping forward, questioning Adam Shirley's actions, the process, and the county's leadership. Specifically, neighbors can't understand how that white tent was built without a permit, and in multiple public hearings, during meetings scheduled to discuss Shirley's proposed rezoning, they've blamed the county's leadership for not enforcing the rules and for bypassing the county's critical oversight responsibilities.
So far, there's been building without anyone who lives there knowing what in the world is going on.
Our feeling is the tail is wagging the dog. That white building on the hill has been a representative symbol of what I view as lawlessness, both from the applicant and from the county.
Mr. Shirley, do you have a quick moment? Following one of the public hearings, we took all of those concerns to the businessman in the center of the bullseye. You probably know many of your neighbors aren't happy with what's going on, and we're trying to understand what's true and what's not true.
Sure. I'll give you a call.
As you will see, it was the first of several attempts to hear Adam Shirley's side of this conflict. Why ultimately are you sitting in that chair right now?
I'm sitting in this chair right now because I believe that the truth about this matter needs to be told.
John Deegan is a former senior planner in Park County. What is the truth?
The truth is that the applicant in this case received preferential treatment contrary to the public interest.
Adam Shirley?
Yes.
In the middle of Adam Shirley's application process, county leaders informed Deegan they eliminated his position. Help me understand how Adam Shirley made so many of his neighbors so angry.
Adam Shirley must have been given reason to believe that he could operate with impunity.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that this application was guaranteed success.
That powerful accusation leads us to this telling audio recording.
How the f*** can you build a building without a permit?
Denver 7 Investigates obtained the recording. It's a conversation between Joe Widener and Park County businessman Adam Shirley, talking about construction of that white tent-like structure.
You're putting it up and you don't even have it.
I don't have a permit, and the commissioners know exactly what I'm doing.
A revealing moment, apparently confirming the concerns raised by Adam Shirley's neighbors and the accusations leveled by former county employee John Deegan. A recording where Adam Shirley candidly says he didn't follow the rules, and he claims county leaders were both informed and aware he was building without approvals and without a permit.
I'm not going against the county. The county knows exactly what I'm doing. At the end of the day, I obviously pissed off a lot of neighbors.
And that candid testimonial led us back to Adam Shirley. Mr. Shirley, Tony Kovaleski back again because we really want to hear your side of the story. Now remember, a few weeks earlier, he promised an interview to answer the questions and accusations raised by his neighbors. Help me understand how you've angered so many of your neighbors, just quickly.
I will have a comment at a later time, not today.
Do you ever sit and wonder what you did to elevate their frustrations and their anger?
No comment today.
Does Mr. Shirley have a problem following the rules of your county?
Mr. Shirley is not helping himself.
Tom Eisenman is Park County's highest-ranking employee. He spent 9 years as county manager. Residents have sat in front of this camera and accused you and the county of giving Adam Shirley preferential treatment.
Well, they would be inaccurate.
When that facility was built, did Mr. Shirley have a permit?
When it was originally being constructed, he did not.
Mike Smith serves as the county's director of operations. We specifically asked him about that audio recording.
I don't have a permit, and the commissioners know exactly what I'm doing.
I wouldn't have any knowledge of that, so I don't know where he would get that impression. He's never gotten that from me, I can tell you that.
And this is not Adam Shirley's first run-in with the county. We've told you about that tent-like structure getting tagged for building without a permit. A few months earlier, the county sent him a cease and desist order for dumping septic waste on another property in clear view of his neighbors. A history leaving his community with the perception the county's rules don't apply to Adam Shirley. Knowing what's happened up to today, how confident are you that Adam Shirley's going to follow the rules moving forward?
Not very.
As the county manager, what's your message to Adam Shirley?
Comply, follow the rules.
By all indications, Adam Shirley failed to get that message. Just days after that interview, our drone captured these images. More than 80 roll-off dumpsters and storage bins sitting on his property next to the tented building without the county's approval. Now, you should also know the county has accepted some responsibility for the firestorm of conflict in Park County. As a result of this conflict, is the county making changes?
County's making changes all the time. Is this a learning moment for the county? Absolutely.
Now, Shirley never upheld his promise to sit down and answer our questions. Instead, he texted this statement saying his company is continuing to cooperate with the county and he has no further comment until the county hearings. The Board of County Commissioners will vote on Mr. Shirley's request next Tuesday, and we will keep you updated. I'm Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
Homer, Bill Gates is here.
Bill Gates? Billionaire computer nerd Bill Gates? Oh my God, oh my God. Get out of sight, Marge. I don't want this to look like a two-bit operation.
Mr. Simpson?
You don't look so rich.
Don't let the haircut fool you. I'm exceedingly wealthy.
Get a load of the bowl job, Marge.
Your internet ad was brought to my attention, but I can't figure out what, if anything, CompuGlobal HyperMegaNet does. So rather than risk competing with you, I've decided simply to buy you out.
This is it, Marge. I poured my heart and soul into this business, and now it's finally paying off. We're rich, richer than astronauts.
Homer, quiet. You'll queer the deal.
Oh, right. I reluctantly accept your proposal.
Well, everyone always does. Buy 'em out, boys.
Hey, what the hell's going on?
Oh, I didn't get rich by writing a lot of checks.
I was like the youngest kid in the grade. I was like almost the smallest kid in the grade. So being small and having violent bullies is a bad situation, you know. It got like a reasonably good size around age 15, and then around age 16 is when they stopped trying to beat me out because it didn't work out well for me. They tried it, I knocked the guy out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. I was like the youngest kid.
it's such an honor to have you on. You know, this is such a big topic to tackle, and it's not as safe. I should say it's hard for TIs to have that safety in their lives, or even the capability to talk about it, because they're constantly being targeted 24/7 or tortured, you know. And I really appreciate you bringing this topic to the table and giving a voice to all these people, because like I said, I've met a lot of TIs just privately in the background podcasting, and none of them have been in a safe enough place to come speak out. So that just shows, you know, the horrors that are involved with this type of torture, and really how unknown it is by the general public. So I really appreciate you being here with me today.
Thank you. And with that, I just want to say that I because of that very reason that, you know, you probably have, like you said, spoken to a lot of TIs and they don't feel ready to come forward. I feel a huge sense of responsibility to speak for them on their behalf. So I want to mention that, you know, I'm gonna share this information, and then I'm not going to talk about it again. I'm not going to have any more interviews. But I want to make it really clear up front that I'm not telling this story for sympathy. I don't want that. I'm telling it because
Is
I'm
this
not the
normally
only one.
closed?
You know, I'm
or is
only
this
one
normally
person. I want
open?
people to
That'd be interesting
understand
know.
that
Let's,
there are more
put this
than
to diode test.
300,000 people.
I
all
would
over-
expect that
all
might
over
be
this
normally closed and
country
only powered when they
that are
want to
being
disconnect you,
targeted,
because that would
who
take the load off
who
it.
are all reporting similar
It
experiences.
is.
So
It's normally
as I
bridging
go
through, and it's only when they power
Short
that
circuits
I want
are
people to
created
also
when the
understand
hot
this is a
and
program
makes
neutral
sense.
wires
that there are
touch,
people
and the circuit is completed
spread out that
before
don't
the
know each
load.
other, that've never
In
spoken
this
to each
case,
other,
the
different
current no
This-
longer
socioeconomic
flows through the
backgrounds,
entire
has
different
two
circuit,
taps
and
demographics,
with
different
no
stories,
resistance,
and a
different, you know,
the
section
current
already
but they're all
rises.
here.
saying the same thing.
That's
Without
So
any
when I
protection,
go through
this
Oh, is that for
increased current
higher
will
resistance?
cause
Is
the
that a
wires to
control
heat up,
resistance in there
burn
too?
out, and will start an
For
electrical
monitoring?
fire.
Why would they
And the only way
do
to
that
do
as
that is
opposed
to
to just
share
In a
with
measuring
protected
from one end
circuit,
of the
I feel
copper to
the
the
extra
other?
current
Sure.
will trip
They
the
do
circuit
appear to
breaker,
have
or
a
will
slug
blow
of
the
metal in
fuse.
here that's kind
I
of
appreciate you being
going
here.
to.
It is a huge
Now,
responsibility.
if an
Everybody
appliance
that comes
keeps
on the
Let's say
tripping
I
the
show, I
zoom
breaker,
know,
down on
just
that.
then
carries
it's
this
likely
heavy,
that there's an
you know,
internal short.
responsibility on their shoulders.
That's
In this
I'm
case,
and
guessing
you'll
they
have
that
to
is
deserve
just
locate
it. You know,
and
sort
repair
of
the
to
damaged
that's really
wires
the
or
worst
create
part
a
about
higher
it.
resistance
You know,
in a
and the
smaller
breaker
area.
must
Does
be
that result
reset
in
public
or
speakers
the
on
fuse
behalf
replaced.
of the
Hannah,
worst
thank you.
things
And
that happen in
Do you
your
know,
life,
I'm
and
also
yet you
looking at
still
this
keep
big
being
metal
given the
oxide
Retard
barista.
or
opportunity to be
kill
that,
It's
one
likely
because
that
that
there's an
selflessness
internal
in you
short.
knows
Is there any
that
protection
In
about
this
it?
case,
going
you'll
through
have
it
to
that
Dangling
locate
all
and
would
over
love
repair
some
the
type of
damaged
an
wire.